All right, so I don't know about you guys, but I feel really positive. I feel really good. I feel like things are definitely moving in the right direction. Obviously, we had that Pokemon Center drop that a lot of you commented on yesterday's video saying that you were able to take part of. Like, some people still had issues, but for the most part, a lot of people were able to successfully check out and purchase Black Bolt, White Flare, like the Elite Trainer boxes, which is very exciting. Pokemon's still pumping out too many sets, but it does seem like things are healing. It seems like people who were getting into the hobby for just like the money side of things are starting to disappear a little bit. Maybe there's not as much money in Pokemon as what a lot of people thought there would be. The bad thing was that a lot of people assumed that you could just kind of go to Target, Walmart, wait in line, wipe out all the inventory, go home and sell it for 2-3 times. You know, the whole retail arbitrage side of Pokemon. And unfortunately, it just doesn't quite work that way with Pokemon. Even though there's so much demand there, the product, the demand of the product wasn't there enough to really make that a sustainable business model, I think. So there was probably a lot of people who came into the hobby thinking they were going to get rich quick, and it just didn't work. And it didn't work, and it seems like people are starting to exit. And that coupled with the fact that Pokemon is starting to print more, and now it's not as much as what people want, and Pokemon is running their print facilities at full capacity, printing all the time. But I did hear some rumblings about Pokemon not necessarily having to print for outside of North America anymore. Like the North American print facilities would feed outside of NA. But I've heard rumblings that they don't have to anymore, which means that all the product that they're printing is going to be staying here, which is going to help a lot. It's going to help big box stores. It's going to help distros. It's going to help brick and mortars. So I feel very positive about the direction that things are going. And I don't think it's going to hit yet. I think Destined Rivals will get better, but it won't be there yet. We'll have a video on Sunday about Destined Rivals. I also think that I get to show off the binder for the Master Set giveaway for Destined Rivals. Even though we're not opening Destined Rivals, we're still going to give away a Master Set to one lucky subscriber. I think the Unlucky Collector sent me the binder that we're going to use. He makes these amazing binders for every Master Set giveaway. They're phenomenal. I don't know how he does it, but I'm going to show that off on Sunday when we talk about Destined Rivals, and hopefully not making the same mistake that probably a lot of people made with Journey Together and with other sets in general. The last thing you want to do is really overspend when it comes to Pokemon. Pokemon's fun, very enjoyable hobby. It's fun to play the TCG, but also at the same time, it's fun to collect the cards. It's fun, the stories that they tell, the escape. Like, I'm not going to get corny or anything like that, but it's a lot of fun. And once you overspend, like we've seen this market correction, I think things are leveling off. I am very excited about where things are going, and I hope you guys are too. I really do. But we can learn from Journey Together. Journey Together has been really fun to watch, really interesting to watch, and I think Journey Together is an amazing set. It's a set that slaps with the artwork, obviously bringing back the trainer Pokemon with the Lillie's Clefairy, the Enzoric. The Enzoric special illustration rare is my absolute favorite card. The cards in this set from a competitive standpoint haven't really impacted the meta too much yet. We did see like Raging Bolt do really well, Dragapult do really well, obviously Badoo is still continuing to do well, but it is starting to morph a little bit, and the format is still very young because we did just have rotation, so from a competitive standpoint, Journey Together not making a ton of impact, but Enzoric did start just like gaining a little bit of steam at Milwaukee. Lillie's Clefairy still trying to be figured out, I think, but Enzoric definitely starting to find its place in the meta, and it's going to continue to evolve as we move on, as we get cards from Destined Rivals, as we get cards from Black Bolt and White Flare, and eventually there will be a world champion come August, so I'm very excited for that. But Journey Together has taken massive hits, and for multiple reasons. Like, we talked about this before Journey Together even came out, and like, it was so important that I tried to convey as much as possible and impress upon you how small Journey Together is of a set and how easy it is going to be to complete. Now, you can't, it's highly unlikely you're going to even find enough product nowadays to be able to open up an entire master set or purchase enough product to open up an entire master set because it gets expensive. But with pull rates being, 1 out of like 70-ish packs for a special illustration rare, you could get lucky and you could pull it for less than that, but there's only like 6 in the set. So way smaller than Prismatic Evolutions, about 1/5 of the size of Prismatic Evolution. So the likelihood of pulling your chase is way better in a set like Journey Together. And because of the sheer amount of different products that came out, remember Prismatic Evolutions was a staggered release. It had all these different products that would come out at different times. So you only got slapped with a new release every few weeks, maybe every month or so. Whereas Journey Together was like, here, throw this all in your face all at once. And you've got 3-pack blisters, sleeve boosters, build and battles, booster bundles, booster boxes, elite trainer boxes, there was enough product out there, not necessarily to hit demand, but to come close to demand. And we're going to have the same thing with Destined Rivals. And that's why I wanted to talk about Destined Rivals on Sunday. But a lot of people weren't around for really a lot of set releases. They were around for what we saw with Surging Sparks, which was very chaotic because obviously the market exploded as soon as Surging Sparks released. So that wasn't really natural. And Prismatic Evolutions, the market was still exploding when Prismatic Evolutions released, and plus the demand for that set was so high, that wasn't really natural either. Journey Together starting to give us a little bit more natural response to the release of a new Pokemon card set. And that response is cards are going to fall after release weekend. Not just cards, but even booster boxes as well. We can see booster boxes have fallen quite a bit. So this is just a normal booster box right here. These are actually very difficult to come by in North America. They only really show up in pre-release kits. So you open up a pre-release kit, it's got 10 build-in battles in it. They're given to store owners or sold to store owners who hold pre-release events. And then they get a normal booster box along with that pre-release kit. So that way they can crack it open and hand out packs at the end of a pre-release event. That was really the only way in order to get a Journey Together booster box that was not enhanced. They also give these out as prize support sometimes. So like the Milwaukee Regional event, if you were a judge, if you were somebody who volunteered to help out at the event, you were given a Journey Together booster box, an unenhanced version for prize support. So this one has stayed relatively flat, and even the normal booster box, the enhanced booster box for the most part, it has stayed relatively flat. It has dropped a lot from release, but over the past month, it's only down a few percentage points. Now that's still about $15. It's still not quite where it would be at if it was MSRP. It's a little bit above MSRP plus tax plus shipping, but it is definitely coming down. And once they do reprint this set, because they already have communicated that they will reprint Journey Together, it will come down even further. But the big thing is like the Journey Together Elite Trainer box. So you can see over the last month, really, it's dropped 6% so far and continuing to fall a little bit. Now it has leveled off a little bit here, but you're looking at about $65, which is not that much more above MSRP plus shipping, because this is going to be over £1 to ship, so it is going to cost you about $10 to ship it. So once you factor in tax and things like that, you're looking at $53, $54, another $10 on top of that to ship. I have seen so many posts of people who went and bought out stores trying to sell Journey Together product and just not getting anywhere. And that's what I was talking about at the beginning of the video with a lot of people who thought maybe they could just go into a store, they could build a business model off of buying out a store from all their new release Pokemon products, and it's just not working that way. So very interesting to see how Journey Together drops, but it's not just the sealed product that's dropping, it's the singles as well. So we looked at these singles about a couple of weeks after release, maybe a week after release, to kind of look at what the drop looked like. And some of them weren't bad. Some of the drops weren't bad, but some of these now you're looking at 50-60% drops on some of these, even higher in some areas. When I was at the Milwaukee Regional event last week, it was crazy because on Friday when I was taking cards in and buying cards, the Lillie's Clefairy was just over $200. And then on Saturday, I was like, oh, I know what I can pay for this Lillie's Clefairy, but I'll double check. And it was down to like $190. And then on Sunday when I was looking, I was like, oh, I think I know what I could buy this Lillie's Clefairy at, but let me look again. And it was at like $178. So it's continuing to drop. And the reason behind that is because there is still so much Journey Together out there that's being cracked on a daily basis. But because of the small sample size, the amount of special illustration rares in the set, those are going to continue to fall because more and more of them are hitting the secondary market. People are opening stuff up. They're selling their duplicates. They're selling their triplicates. And the people who are patient didn't overpay for singles or for sealed products to try and crack into these cards. They're benefiting right now. And you're seeing some massive drops across the board. This Lillie's Clefairy started out $316.41. It's currently sitting at $172.41 and continuing to drop. So it's down about 45.5% over the past month and continuing to fall. These are very normal price drops from what we've experienced in the past. So very unlike Prismatic, very unlike Surging Sparks, but you will see similar price drops, maybe not as quickly for Destined Rivals, but in the future months down the road with Destined Rivals. So maybe a month or two after release, you're going to start seeing some cards drop a lot more. Now, Destined Rivals, a much bigger set, and I'm not going to talk about I don't want to talk about Destined Rivals. I don't know why I'm talking about it. We're talking about that on Sunday. But it is a much bigger set. So it is going to be more difficult to pull some of those chase cards in Destined Rivals than what it would be in a set like Journey Together. But these price points really come. There is not a single card that we're going to look at today that is seeing a higher price point than what it was on opening day. Which is very encouraging for people who are trying to fill out their collection, trying to buy singles, things like that. That Salamence EX Special Illustration Rare. Very, very cool card. Just a majestic background. $191.30. 32 cents out of the gate. It is a sub $100 card right now. I think every card except the Lillie's Clefairy is under $100. The last closest one was Salamence and Zoroark, but they are both under $100 now. So down to $89.93. It's dropped about 53% over the last few weeks and continuing to tumble. And Zoroark, this is my favorite card of the set. It was at $191.08 on opening day. Now it's down to $89.94. So you're looking at about a 53% drop on that one as well. So a very, very substantial drop there. The Hopzacion EX, this is a cool card. Very, very cool. And it actually did fairly well at regionals. I would assume that the regular art variant was the one that was played more so than the special illustration, but it did find a spot in day 2, which is really exciting. $144.70 is where this started out at, but it's down almost 58% over the past few weeks. It's sitting at $61.46 and continuing to tumble. The Iono's Belly Bolt, one of the ones that is holding on a little bit better. Same thing with the Volcanion EX. So Iono's Belly Bolt started out at about 118. It has dropped about 38%, but not as substantial as what we've seen from some of these other ones, which is kind of showcasing that maybe people are priced out a little bit. They're not willing to pay as high for modern cards that are a little bit easier to pull. Down to $73.12. Like I said, about 38% of a drop over the last few weeks. The Volcanion EX was at $52.60. That one's dropped about 21%, so now it's down to $41.50. Holding on fairly well, but it also started out a little less expensive. The gold cards are kind of interesting to look at because typically those gold cards, those hyper rares, don't do as well. We've seen that with Prismatic Evolutions and every other set before that. If you look at Prismatic Evolutions as far as like a price list goes, all those hyper rares are relatively inexpensive with the exception of like that Pikachu EX. All the other ones fairly cheap, but the Iono's Belly Belt, because of the background trainer, the color pops a little bit better. It looks really cool, and I think they're holding a lot better value. But $49.44 is where this started at. It has dropped over 40%, so it's down to $29.51 and continuing to fall. But definitely some cards to look out for because historically gold cards don't do too well. Articuno, the illustration, or this was a chase for a lot of people when it comes to illustration or category. This is the most expensive one still, and it's all the way down below $25. So every single illustration rare in Journey Together can be had for below $25, which is really, really good for a lot of people's pocketbooks. $43.43 is where it started at, dropped 43.5% over the last few weeks. There's that Zoroark hyper rare. This one started out at $37.37, a little bit cheaper. It's only dropped about 16%, which isn't bad, but again, those gold cards holding a little bit more value. It's down to $31.39. This Lillie's Clefairy, I really want to highlight this one. It started out at $34. If you remember, this Lillie's Clefairy full art was over $100 pre-order price, and I remember talking about it and saying, this is ridiculous. This is way too expensive. This card is going to be a $15 card a month after release. Some people disagreed with me. I have receipts. Some people did disagree with me, but $33.95, and it is below $15 at $12.47. So a relatively easy card to pull. Not as easy as some of the other ones for sure, and it is still an amazing card, but it had no business being $100 to begin with. $12.47 is where it's currently sitting, so it's down over 63%. The Whale Lord, this is an amazing card. I love the artwork on this one, and it has fallen fairly well from $28.49 down to $16.06, so that's about a 43.5% drop on that one. The Ends Reshiram, this is the unstamped version, so this is the normal one that you would pull out of the set. A little bit doing a little bit better than the stamped version. $26.39 is where it started at. It's lost over half of its value. It's sitting at $12.95, so definitely some cheaper prices if you're looking to fill out your master set. Here's the End Zoroark full art. This one's really cool as well. $21.95. This is really great how much these are dropping because these cards they slap. $11.58 is where it's currently sitting, so it's over 47% of a drop on this one. Here is the stamped version of Ends Reshiram. This is the one that came in the enhanced booster box, so this was the box topper, if you want to call it that. $21.93 is where this started out at. It's down to $11, so it's dropped about 49, almost 50%, so it lost almost half of its value. The Spiky Energy started out at $21.25, not the most competitive card. It has dropped to $8.66, so almost 60% of a drop on that one. And now you start getting some bigger drops. So this Iono's Kilowattrel right here, very cool card. There's that Magnemite cloud in the background there, which is super, super cool. All those little Easter eggs that you can find. $18.79 is where this one started out at. It's dropped down to $8.92, so that's about a 52.5% drop. Lillie's Rabombe, this one started out a little bit more expensive, and then dropped to $16.31 already on opening day. Now it's single digits. It's down to $6.57, so it's lost almost 60% of its value. The Lillie's Clefairy EX regular art has been absolutely destroyed. It's down over 77%. Also not performing as well competitively, so I think that's part of it as as well. $12.67 is where it started out at. Now it's down to $3.65. The Iono's Belly Bolt, this one did start out a little bit high, but also it did come in the box set recently, which also is going to impact the value. Even the card is different. It's not that different. It's just a different, like a mirror image, which is very interesting. $12.44 is where this started out at. It's lost over 66%, so it's down to $4.18 currently. Hop Zacian, $11.73. It's lost over 55% of its value, down to $5.27. The Iris's Fighting Spirit was at $11.71. Now it's down to $2.67. That's a 77% drop, which is absolutely crazy. And Zoroark doing okay, mostly because of its competitive playability. It was at $11.34. It was at like $9 last weekend. Now it's dropped down to about $7, about a 37% drop, but it's going to hang around while the competitive format kind of gets figured out. Lycanroc Illustration Rare started out at $10.37. That's lost over 61% of value, so it's down to $3.99. The Noibat, very cool looking card, started out at about $9.50. It's lost about 40% of its value. It's down to $5.74. The Furret, also very cool. Very simple, $8.48 on that one. It's dropped down to $6.25, so about a 26% drop on that one. Brock Scouting is turning out to be fairly competitive and fairly good, which is why it's only lost about 30% of its value. It started out at $8.05. It's down to $5.64. It might hang around that price point just because it is doing so well competitively. Hops Wooloo started out a little bit cheaper at about $7. It's down to $5.83, so that's about a 16.6% drop. The normal Hop Zacian has dropped over 80% from $6.90 down to a bulk EX, $1.36. We also did have that Hop Zacian EX box, which hurt its value a lot as well. The Swinub was at $5.81. You're talking about two $3 illustration rares again, so it's a great time. The Swinub's down to $3.63. That's about a 37.5% drop. The Maractus illustration rare, the color scheme on this is really cool. It was $5.75 out of the gate. Now it's down to about $3.20, so about a 44% drop on that one. And then you've got your full arts here, which are basically bulk pricing, except the Salamence, which is still at about $3.05. It was $5.61 out of the gates, but it's lost over 45%. You can see the Volcanion losing almost 70% from $4.70 down to $1.44, and the Dunsparce losing about 50% from $3.95 down to $1.98. And then you've got a little bit of lower level cards. That Mamoswine right there didn't do too well. Obviously a meme deck, $3.93. It's down to $1.85, so about a 53% drop on that one. And then your regular art Iono's Belly Bolt dropped about 71%, down to 78 cents. The Blaziken still has a place, maybe in competitive play. That's why it's kind of hanging on just barely above a bulk EX price. It's dropped about 11%, 12% out of the gate, so it's down to about $2.23. But this is a lot more normal with what we're seeing as far as price drops goes. Price drops in the 50, 60, 70%, pretty much across the board, except for some of them that already started out at a much less expensive state, like the Swinub, like the Maractus. For so long, people were FOMOing and freaking out and buying up cards right away on release out of fear that it was going to blow up, because that's what we experienced with a lot of illustration rares. But now that the market is correcting and a lot of illustration rares are coming back down to earth, maybe might be the time to go back and look at some of those, because a lot of them really getting back to that $2, $3, $4 price point. So a lot of room to kind of work on your collections right now as we wait for more product to become available. And it seems like Pokemon is starting to get to that point, which is really exciting. So it is a good time. It is getting better, and I'm very, very excited about it. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please hit that subscribe button down below. Leave a like, leave a comment. It goes a long way for the algorithm. You guys are awesome. I love you. I'll talk to you again on Sunday. Till next time. Peace.